Buenos dias, Colombia. This is the city, Los Angeles, California, where our story begins. So I was told I had to wait almost a year just to reschedule a teeth cleaning through the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, where I get my service. A few months later, I ended up getting a full root canal and crown in Colombia. And it only took about 1 month total. So let me tell you what happened. Hello. If you're new here, my name is Stan, and I share real experiences about living, traveling, and navigating life between the U.S. and Colombia, especially here in Cúcuta. And this situation right here, this is something a lot of travelers don't think about until it actually happens. Healthcare while you're abroad. So here's how the whole thing started. I had a routine dental cleaning scheduled through the VA. And last year, around March 2025, they called me to reschedule, which is normal. And they offered me a new date that was in January. And I thought, January already passed. What do you mean? She said January 2026. And I thought they made a mistake. But no, they meant the following year. So when that happens, the VA has another option for some of us veterans that is to go outside the VA. It's called community care. And you get a doctor outside the VA system so that you can be seen sooner. And of course, hygiene. I don't want to wait 10 months for teeth cleaning. So that took about a month to get approved. And finally in May, I was able to go in and get the cleaning. And then when I was there, they tell me that I need a root canal and a crown, amongst other things. Now, the problem is every step needed approval. So after the first visit in May to determine what I needed, I ended up going back again in August, and they did some of the work. They still didn't get approval for everything that needed to be done. So again, I had to go back in November, and the guy is working on my mouth. He is inside of my mouth doing Novocaine or whatever they put in. And then he decides to discuss with me that the VA only gave him approval for the crown and not the root canal or the buildup, one of the two. And he couldn't do it, and it needed to be approved. So they still couldn't get the work done. And he puts in a temporary tooth, and basically I'm waiting again. Now, I'm about to travel back to Colombia, and my tooth is unfinished. And so I travel back, and I get there, and within a week or two, the temporary tooth falls out, and I have to get it fixed while I'm here in Colombia. So now I'm thinking about how long am I supposed to keep waiting for this? And more importantly, what happens if it gets infected? So my wife finds me a dentist nearby, and we go in and get the temporary tooth that I still had reinstalled. And at that point, he checked everything and told me straight up there was still some work that needed to be done. And I believe they charged me 30,000 pesos to put the tooth back in. And I kept track of that in my mind, and in the event I needed to go back and see them. Okay, so a couple of weeks go by, and I'm out having dinner, and finish up, and I grab a toothpick to go through and check my teeth a little bit, and I kind of noticed that it felt empty, and I looked around my mouth, and the tooth was gone. And I couldn't find it anywhere, which meant that I must have swallowed it. So now we're in January, and my tooth is gone. And I'm in danger of getting infected. And I had a trip back to the United States for a few weeks in the late January, early February. So I get back, and I receive a phone call from the dentist wanting to schedule a teeth cleaning. And they had totally forgot about my root canal work was still unfinished. So we hashed that out, and I went ahead and made the appointment for the teeth cleaning, and they checked everything and said it looked good. They even checked where my missing tooth was and still looked at that and decided that it was still okay, but we need to get that taken care of. And so I got the VA involved again, and some time goes by, but then a couple of days before I was heading back to Colombia, of course, they call me and say, when do you want to schedule your next appointment? And I told them I was leaving, I won't be back till May. So they said, oh, give us a call when you get back. And at that point is when I kind of knew I was going to have to get the work done in Colombia. Now, besides the cost, this is what really surprised me. The entire process took about 1 month, broken into 4 visits. Visit 1, they did the root canal work and cleaned everything out. Visit 2 was 10 days later, where they checked for infection and made sure everything healed properly. And then they created the mold for the crown. Visit 3, I came back to test the crown and made sure that it fit and the color was okay. And visit 4 was the final visit. They installed the crown permanently. Done. Now let's talk about costs, because this is where it really gets crazy. Total cost for everything? Well, before I do that, let me give you what a typical procedure like this might cost in the United States as a comparison. Well, I did a quick Google search and found that pricing can be all over the map. It can start at $1,800 up to $5,000. Cost breakdown includes root canal, dental crown, associated costs, and total costs combined. Factors affecting price: tooth location, specialists, and the material of the crown. Then you got a few tips for lowering the costs. Dental schools and financing. It's enough to piss you off. The dentist's office was not very far from the house, and we actually walked over. It was a beautiful day for a crown. Well, let's talk about the experience. It was smooth. It was a clean clinic. It was professional. And everything was explained clearly, though it was all in Spanish. What's the biggest difference? No waiting months between appointments. And by far the biggest difference was the cost. For comparison, I've already given the numbers of what things might cost in the United States. And now I'm going to go over what this cost here in Colombia. It definitely put a smile on my face. Don't let the big numbers fool you. Total cost was 1,340,000 pesos, or $367. So here's the takeaway. If you're living or traveling abroad, especially in Colombia, don't assume you need to go back to the U.S. for healthcare. Sometimes it's faster, more affordable, and just as professional. And if you found this helpful, subscribe for more real experiences like this, and let me know in the comments. Would you get dental work done outside the U.S.? Thanks.